The New Contact tab is used for inputting new contacts into the database. It's important to be as thorough as possible when adding these new contacts because the AC9 system is driven in many aspects by the information put onto this page. The information is always editable, but your practice will be all the better for taking care to be accurate and thorough when inputting these new contacts. Starting at the top of the page, you will see a question in bold. Is this contact an entity? And a yes/no selection box beside it. If you choose yes, the format of the page will update and allow you to input the contact as a company or a trust, for example, rather than a natural person. So if you are inputting a natural person, leave the box checked to no. To the right of that, you will see Sequence to Attach and a drop-down menu beside it. This will allow you to attach the appropriate action sequence to the new contact so that when you save the contact information, the selected sequence will start automatically. Directly below that, you will see the fields in which you would input all of your contact information, beginning with last name, middle initial, first name, and birth date. Input that information into the fields. The birth date field can be entered manually or selected from the calendar menu by clicking the calendar logo in the rightmost part of the birth date field. Select the sex of the contact and then hit the duplicate button. The duplicate button will check the database to see if you have already entered this contact to save you from re-entering all of the information in the fields below. The spousal information should be entered as well, just as you did the primary contact if you have that. The next field is the primary phone field. The format for this setup is to be internationally friendly. So if you're inputting a domestic number, it will require that a 1 be put in front of that phone number. If the contact is international, replace the 1 with the country's calling code. The box to the right is for an extension if that is required. You can select whether the number is a cell, office, or home phone on one of the boxes to the right of the number field. The email field is similar to the primary phone field in that there is a box next to it to select whether the email is a work email or a home email. Input the email into the email field. Next, we would input street address, city, state, and zip code. Below that, we have source. Source is where the contact originated from. Common examples would be internet leads, radio show, billboards, magazines, or referrals. Subsource drills down the source information to the next level to be more specific. For example, if your source was a magazine ad, in subsource you might type which specific magazine that was. Or if it was an internet lead, you would input which company provided that internet lead. Contact classification is to classify the contact as something specific, like client lead, family, employee, or employee prospect. Whatever relationship the contact has with your firm should be input in this classification. Lead status field is for classifying leads based on where they are in your firm's business cycle. For example, if a lead contact comes in as a referral and is already ready to meet, you might classify that lead as a first appointment to signify that he or she is already ready for the meeting. If the contact you're inputting has let you know that he or she has no interest in meeting at this time, you would classify them as not interested. Important info is the field where you would input any notes or information received about this contact that isn't available in one of the boxes above. Opportunity status is a term used to classify where in the business cycle a lead is. For example, an open opportunity simply means that there is a possibility of doing business. In progress would mean that the business has been agreed upon in principle or via signature on an application, while in progress paid signifies that commissions have already been paid or assets under management have been billed. Closed won and closed lost would be the appropriate classification once the in progress phase ends for either failing to close the deal or succeeding in creating a new client. The appropriate term should be input here in the opportunity status field. Probability refers to how likely you think it is to close this piece of business. Projected revenue is applicable whenever you can estimate how much money the firm will bring in when doing business with this particular contact. There is some room for interpretation when it comes to projecting revenue for AUM. Some firms would choose to calculate it by 1 year's worth of advisor fees. Some might think 3 years is a more suitable estimate. However a firm decides to calculate it, the important thing is that it is done uniformly across all members of the team for accurate reporting and predicting of revenue. Opportunity type is the field where you would input the type of business that you're expecting to get from this contact. Likely examples might be long-term care insurance, fixed annuity, assets under management, comprehensive financial plan, and so on. Projected asset fields is where you would input the asset amount your firm is expecting to bring in. If you are expecting multiple pieces of business, for example an indexed annuity and an AUM account, enter one or the other while you are filling out your new contact page. Then, after the contact has been input, add another opportunity from your client file to Opportunities tab for the other piece of expected business. It's necessary to create a separate opportunity for each piece of expected business to maintain integrity of business and revenue reporting. Projected close date is simply an estimate of when you think this contact will convert to a client. Additional contact info has an optional section used when a contact has multiple phone numbers, addresses, or emails. If a contact has 3 email addresses, for example, after adding the second email into the email to box and classifying that type of email, you would click the Add New button